The video last time cut off, so this is me continuing what I was saying before. So basically, how it is, it's like saying the government. It's like the government saying it's illegal for you to drive a car and it's illegal for you to get a driver's license, and that it'd be impossible for you to prove to the government that you're able to drive a car because the act of driving a car is illegal and the act of getting a driver's license is illegal. Think of a driver's license as like a permit to carry and the car as a gun. It's literally impossible to prove to the government to say, hey, I'm safe to drive a car if it's illegal to drive a car. There's no way to prove that. But at the same time, with 18 USC 925 GA1, it's legal for you to drive a commercial vehicle, and it's legal for you to get a commercial driver's license, a CDL, for work purposes. But it's legal for you to drive your own car and get your own driver's license. That's basically how they're doing it for the gun. Oh, though it's illegal for you to have a gun for your personal use, it's legal for you to carry a firearm in a professional capacity. You're safe enough to carry a gun for work, but not at home. That's kind of how. That's kind of the logic of how they're doing it. Oh yeah, you're safe to drive a truck, but you're not safe to drive your own car. And what basically by working for the government, you're forcing them to acknowledge your job as proof that you're able to possess a firearm, because that's a suspension of logic to believe that I can have a gun for work, but I can't have it for personal use. It makes no sense. And cops and people in the military are held to a higher standard than regular people like us. So, with that as applied challenge in federal court, you could argue the presumptively lawful aspect of the law that is pertaining to you, which is 18 USC 922 G4, and you would have a case because, like I said, it as applied to you. You've proven with your track record with your job that you're able to possess a gun that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise, because it's illegal for you to have a gun. You know, and that's kind of how it is. It's stupid, but because like usually what you would have to do like under state laws, like generally, I mean, you'd have to do it no matter what. You would have to do it no matter what, but you need a psych evaluation. You need to prove that you haven't been in any trouble and that you haven't had any mental episodes or whatever. I mean, you get to do that no matter what in any challenge, but you're relying solely on a psych evaluation from a doctor to prove that you're safe to have a gun, and that's very subjective because there's no objective evidence that you can have a gun, because some doctor could say you can have a gun, but that's all hypothetical, um, which is why so many people lose their cases when it comes to that, or they get denied or whatever. But if you have a government job to prove that you're safe to have a firearm, because in order to become a cop or go in the military, or at least for police, you have to you go to the academy, you do a psych evaluation, you do a background check, a medical check. They check references. They do all these things to make sure that you're fit to be a police officer, and then you get certified through the state, and then you work in a hard environment to help your fellow citizens, to help public safety. Like I said, with that job, there's a proven track record, and that's a great defense for your case, because then you can have testimony from your officers or whoever runs the department or agency or licensing department in the state for the uh, post. That's what they call it. Peace officer standards, or the peace officer standards and training. That's usually what it's called in most states. People could testify in court for you. They can cross-examine that person, and then they can testify. Oh, this person's safe to have a firearm because look at all of these arrests, or the things that he's done to help in his proven track record. There's a paper trail. So that is why I say to get a government job, because that's the only way you can get your rights back under an as-applied Second Amendment challenge in federal court against the ATF and the FBI and the Bureau of Investigations and all this other bullshit. Um, and if you win your case, which most likely you would, because, like I said, you have a proven record, what they would do is they would remove your name off of the NICS database system that the FBI has a record of your name is in the system. And if they remove your name, then you're no longer barred, and you have your Second Amendment rights back. Basically, um, you're not basically, like say the courts will be enjoining any state actor, which is the FBI, from including your name in the background check system. Um, that's the only way you can do it, because you can't sue the actual government itself technically, because the state is, well, at least if you tried to say that the law is unconstitutional or whatever, then you wouldn't have a defense, because under the 11th Amendment, the state is immune. But you're suing the federal government, which, regardless, like I said, you have to file in federal court an as applied challenge under Second Amendment grounds, arguing the presumptively lawful aspect of the statutes of the mentally ill and the felons framework from the Heller decision, saying that, yeah, it doesn't apply to me because I have a track record of my job proving that I'm safe to have a gun, and you would win your case. It costs money, but if you live in those 17 states, that's the only way you can get your rights back. There's no other way to get it back. And when I say work for any governmental job, shit, you could probably even get elected sheriff or whatever. As long as you work for, a government that has guns, you're good. Now you have to look at your state laws and how they, they the eligibilities for what you can do. But ultimately speaking, if you do your research, and you might have to move to a different state to make this happen. Sometimes you might have to, because you might live in a state that doesn't qualify for you to be able to do this, because under state law, you're not allowed to work for law enforcement. So if you really care about your rights, then you would do something drastic like that. Because, like I said, if you live in those 17 states, there's no other way to do it. And it sucks, but that's just how it is. And like I said, what is it? Keys versus Lynch is a federal court case out of Pennsylvania in 2016, where there was two people. They worked as state troopers, and another one was, I think, a correctional officer or whatever, and they got their rights back uh, because they could prove that they had a proven track record of having firearms because of their job. Because they were barred personally from having a gun, but not with their job, and that's how they won their as applied challenge um, for that. Um, because it's proven that you can have a gun if you have it for work. And I know I keep saying that, and I apologize, but yeah. And then also, this is a side note. In Pennsylvania, New York, California, and Washington, there might be other states, but from what I've researched, including the state I live in, Pennsylvania, there's a difference between being in voluntarily committed. You could be held for an emergency basis, and then there's an involuntary commitment. In these four states, if you're ever held for an emergency, which is not a commitment, technically speaking, under their state law, you're barred from having a gun. But what they do egregiously is they report your commitment to the federal government, and the federal government bars you based off of the report from the state government. They're not supposed to do that technically under federal law, because it doesn't qualify as a commitment, based off of the Rahimi decision that just happened recently, which, it says literally in the opinion, you need to be found by a court to be a danger to yourself or other people, basically, kind of the language of how they used it. And also, that's how they said it in the Supreme Court. And then also, two federal court cases here in my state. In federal court, Wilburn versus Barr and Franklin versus Sessions, that basically said our emergency hold, which is a 302 in our state, that says that that it doesn't qualify under federal law to bar somebody because it doesn't qualify as a commitment. They challenged the applicability of the 922 18 USC 922 G4 because they looked at the statutory aspect of it, which basically the state law has no mention of any commitment. It's merely an observational purpose hold under state law, so they ruled that it doesn't qualify as a commitment for those two cases. So that's just a side note when it comes to commitments. But regardless, if you lost your right under federal law and you live in one of these 17 states, you're going to have to work for the government because you don't have a case to prove that you're outside of the, like, if you file an injunction, there's two steps you have to prove when it comes to whether or not you even have standing in a way. And I apologize if I'm like jumbled up or whatever, but you have to prove, number one, that you're different from the historically barred people, basically the mentally ill and the felony people or whatever, based off of the Heller wording of the Supreme Court in 2008. If you can't get over that burden, then there's no reason to go to step two, which is that the government has to prove that there's a historical basis from for their regulation regarding barring you from having a firearm. Based off of the Rahimi case, they could, if they could find any bullshit law, they can fucking say it's constitutional to not let you have a firearm because some stupid law that existed 150 years ago. But like I was saying before, to prove step one, you need to prove that you're outside of the historically barred people. You have to prove that your situation is different, and there's no way to prove that you're different unless you literally have a gun. Period. And that's why you have to get a government job. No other way. No other way around that. So that's what the as applied challenge. Not facial and as applied. It has to be as applied to you, because if you do a facial challenge, which is basically you saying that it's unconstitutional at all times, with a facial challenge, you're going to lose because the government will find a reason to say it's constitutional. They'll find some law that says it's constitutional, and you'll fucking lose. So, yeah. So that's why I keep saying work for the government, and you'll win your case because of because you'll be able to prove that you're outside the bounds of the mentally ill and felony people that have convictions, basically. So yeah, so I'll reiterate one more time. If you want to win your case in the 17 states, you have to file an injunction in federal court. Before you do that, work for the government, and then show that as evidence in court. Have cross testimonies from people that you work with and other departments that are heads of those departments that can testify in your behalf, and not get in any trouble, and just make sure you have a clean record. If you don't, then try not to get in trouble, or don't have any more episodes. Try not to take any medication that affects your mental ability to, get a job with law enforcement or whatever, or the military. And like I said, if your state doesn't allow you to work for law enforcement or whatever, or any government job like that, then you might have to go to a different state to get your rights, like Wyoming or Montana, or what other states? Arkansas, I think, is one of them. I'm not sure. A lot of the red states tend to be more gun friendly, like Indiana. There's no mention in state law about that. Just states like that are more conservative, they tend to be more relaxed when it comes to that. And you might have to, that's just like the state post regulations, which is the peace officers standards and training, like regulations, laws, and in their their state. But you can also apply to any police department, any sheriff's department that you live at least for the police aspect of it. And somebody will hire you, because there's always most police officers, most police chiefs and sheriffs are pro Second Amendment. They're mostly conservative, and you tell them your story, they will probably give you a chance. You'll get a lot of no's, but you'll have some that'll say yes. All you need is one department to say yes, and they'll hire you, basically, if you don't have anything else wrong with you. As long as you can pass the psych evaluation and the physical agility test and the medical aspect of it, you're good, which you should be fine if you haven't had any episodes or anything that would bar you from applying, like, you should be fine. Just be weary that you're gonna get a lot of no's, but um, if you apply a lot, somebody will say yes. If you care about your rights, that's how you can do it in those 17 states, because you can't rely on the federal government to change anything regarding giving your rights back, or the state government that you live in to change their laws to give you your rights back, or to comply with the ATF's federal relief program. So, yeah, it sucks, but if you care about your rights, you're gonna have to do something drastic. So, yeah, I'm just here spreading awareness, and hopefully, this will help a lot of people. And also, you need money. You need to save up some money. To help win this case. If you don't have any money, then it's gonna be really hard, at least to fight your case initially. But if you like I said before, you need to work for the government and try to do that as soon as possible. If you can't, then I understand, because you have a life, you have other job. Like, I get it, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get your rights back, because there's no other way to get it back. No other way to get it back. So, yeah. I apologize if I rambled. I was just explaining to you guys the process when it comes to what you can do to get your rights back. From my interpretation and talking to lawyers and this and that. Um, so also, one more thing too, before I say anything else. All state laws have different laws pertaining to this, but under federal law, you can also possess an antique firearm that is before 1898. If it's made before that time, or any replica per se, you're allowed to possess that under federal law, technically, as long as it's not readily convertible to use modern ammunition, or into like a modern gun. You can possess that legally too. Now, state law might say something different where you live, but if you care about your rights, use that as go to a different state. You don't have to live there, but unless you want to, like South Dakota or Texas or Wyoming, West Virginia, there's a lot of states that allow you to have a firearm because they follow the federal regulation, like the wording of the federal law. They mirror that in their state laws, which could help your case too, but most likely, like, on top of working the government job. But if you do that alone, it might not work because it's not considered a firearm technically under federal law. And that federal courts only look at federal, like, stuff that is in, like, writing, basically. But regardless, exercise your rights if you care about it. Carry a knife, sword, antique firearm, crossbow, anything that's not a firearm, and you believe in your rights, you should do it because you have a constitutional right to bear arms. And do follow all the loopholes that exist in laws to exercise your rights and strengthen your case when it comes to winning your right to bear arms. So, yeah, I'm not saying do anything illegal, but follow the law. If there's a loophole in the law that allows you to do it legally, then you should do it because you have a constitutional right. So, yeah, again, I rambled. I apologize, but this is me telling you my interpretation and my opinion and what I've read about the laws and how you should do it. So, if you believe in your right, then go ahead and do it. So, yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know. Comment in the video, and or you can message me, and I'll talk to you and discuss to you about if you have any questions or anything you need to add on to what I said. So, yeah, hopefully you guys have a good day, and yeah, fight for your rights.